Hello and welcome to our 10-year anniversary episode of the Dream Printing Podcast. We're celebrating 10 years over here because I launched Horacio Printing, my planner business, my product-based paper company, in October of 2014. And here we are, October 2024, 10 years later. And so today I want to dedicate this episode to really sharing 10 lessons I've learned to stay in the game. So it's just going to be 10 reflective lessons, things I've learned while running my business over the last 10 years, scaling it, growing it, making mistakes, and different things that hopefully will help you. So let's dive into today's episode. All right, 10 years. I really can't believe it. Some days it feels like yesterday that I started Horacio, and some days it honestly feels like maybe it was 40 years ago. I know running a business has definitely given me a lot more gray hair, but it's also built me in so many ways that I can't even explain. I've learned so much. I've met so many people. God has opened so many doors and just strengthened me as a person. My faith is one of the biggest ways I have grown in my business, largely because it is a Christian product business. And so some of my job was reading the Bible to find scriptures, and what a blessing that's been. I'm so grateful for every single Horacio Printing family member. We call all of our customers family. And for every person that's ever bought a planner, it's because of you guys that we've raised tens of thousands of dollars to fight human trafficking. And we're on our way. I'm just going to claim it this year. We are on our way to 100K this year for A21 to fight human trafficking. I'm just believing for that. We've already had such an incredible launch day last month, and we're continuing to sell our 2025 collection. And I'm just so grateful. Like, I'm just sitting in the goodness of God. I could cry right now. And so I wanted to share with you 10 lessons I've learned over the last 10 years that have shifted me, changed me, that I hope bless you. Whether you're part of the Horacio Printing family and you just want to get it behind the scenes, or if you are an entrepreneur or an aspiring entrepreneur that is ready to make your impact, it's ready to step into your calling, and here's some things that I hope bless you. It's pretty wild. 10 years, I don't want to toot my own horn, but about only like 37% of businesses make it to this mark. And I'm not tooting my own horn at all, honestly, because I'm really tooting God's horn. Toot, toot. Like, I would not be here without the grace of God, without the kindness of God, without His strength in my weakness. Let me remind you, if you're new here, when I started my business, I spelled Horacio Printing wrong. I spelled Horacio Printing wrong. I filed for my LLC, fun story, and I lived on Horatio Street at the time. And I absolutely spelled my business name wrong when I got my website, when I made my planner, and also when I filed for my LLC. Yay! When I got it in the mail, I went outside to take an Instagram picture next to the street sign. And I looked up at the street sign and noticed that Horacio had a T in it. And my LLC documentation from LegalZoom had a C in it. And that at that moment, I thought, oh my gosh, who am I? Who am I to start a business? I am so unqualified, incompetent. I mean, I threw out a lot more mean words to myself in that moment. And I had to really sit in that space and pray and just say, God, like, I guess we're going to keep going. Like, I can't redo the website, redo the products, redo everything. Like, we're going to roll with it. And so I think that's one of the biggest learning lessons has been roll with it. And let me just say, I have grown a lot. My spelling is slightly better. But let me just say, I did an interview recently with, she's incredible. Her name is Kelly Roach, and she's amazing. If you missed my interview with her, check it out. It came out at the end of August. And at the end of it, I asked her to send me a link to one of her resources because I'm always learning, always curious, always want to learn stuff. And let me just say, I had the biggest brain fart and could not remember how to spell Horatio. I don't know what it was. I literally my mind just does your brain ever do that? It just short circuits and you're like, what is my email address? How many times have I said the word Horatio? 1,000,000. And right now, I can't think of my email address. I don't know what it is. So all that to say, I'm going to forever be tooting God's horn because I can't believe I'm in this position. I've had it for 10 years, and it is all by the grace of God. So if you're taking notes today, I'm going to share the 10 things that I've learned and 10 ways to stay in the game with your business. So number one, ready? Number one is, this might not be a surprise, it's God. I've already kind of alluded to that, but my relationship has been one of the key thing I can point to for how I'm still in business, why I'm still in business, is God. Not only because there's been so many times where I've just had to completely surrender because everything was out of my control and He provided a miracle. He provided a way. But there's carrying the weight of a business is heavy. And so having a relationship with God allowed me the space to surrender it over and over and over and over and over. And I really don't know how anybody has a business without a relationship with God. I'm not saying I'm judging you for not, but I literally don't know how you do this without the understanding that you're not alone and He's there with you. He's partnering with you. I wouldn't be here, period. So number one has been my relationship with God, taking things to Him, praying over my business, processing things with Him, getting in His Word. Not that I've been this fantastic student, I've definitely had seasons where it's been a roller coaster, or I felt far from God, or I felt like I couldn't hear Him. And you just come back. It's like the tide, and He's always there, and He's always pursuing you. And so number one is God, 100%. So that's the first, and really that's probably my best piece of advice today, is staying near to God throughout the journey and continuing to lean on Him and take action. I have never in my business said, okay, God, you're going to do everything. I'm just going to go check out and not labor. That's never been the case, except, on the weekends. So it's been a co-labor thing, but I'm not alone. All right. So that's number one. Number two, the second thing that I have learned that is incredibly powerful is add value. Add value. That the only way a company survives, in my opinion, and these are all my opinions, you have to add value to the market. And I had a mentor years ago, Tony Robbins. We weren't one-on-one, but I went to one of his conferences and for business. And one of the great questions he asked was, how can I add more value than anyone else on the market? And it's because of that I started to add in new stuff to the planner. I started to add tutorials and trainings and freebies and let's have a meetup. Let's have a dream planning party. How can I add more value? How can I add more value? Valuable things last. Invaluable things don't last. That's why we throw away low quality, invaluable clothing and low quality furniture. Things that last are valuable. So be valuable, right? So create value for people. As Kelly Roach says, make deposits into the reciprocity bank. I can't say that word. But she talks about that even for social media. You want to constantly be adding value in your social media, right? How are you adding value on your website? How are you adding value in your products? How are you adding value on social media? How are you adding value to your email list and the people that are subscribing to your email list? That's the biggest thing. And it's really simple. And if you're like, ooh, I don't know what to do, well, get a journal. Put that question at the top of your journal and sit with it. There's so much power in sitting with good questions. All right, number three. Number three is generosity, which kind of goes hand in hand with the adding value and putting those deposits in the reciprocity bank. Again, that word trips me up. But generosity has probably been one of my key marketing tools in terms of gifting people things, honoring them with gifts, and being generous with my products. Generosity has opened more doors than anything else. And I'm not generous solely to, I scratch your back, you scratch mine. But I will say, when you are generous, the world gets larger. And that's biblical. The world of the generous gets larger and larger, and the world of the stingy gets smaller and smaller. So be generous. If you have a lot of planners left over at the end of the year, can you donate it to a women's shelter? Can you donate it to a boys and girls club? Can you donate it to needy people? Can you go give some to people at church? Can you go gift your product? Your product is not meant to sit in your garage. Your product's meant to be in the hands of people. So how can you be generous with the product that you've created? All right, that's number 3. So number 1 was God, relationship with God. Number 2 is adding value. Number 3 is generosity. Number 4 is get a mentor. Mentorship has changed my life. Mentorship has changed my life. Some of the early mentors I had, it was just by the grace of God that I had them, and they actually came from my corporate career, whether it was a sales boss that they brought in, or they brought in specific coaching people. We actually, years ago, we had a coach brought in to one of the first companies I worked with, and they were a productivity coach. And I remember just like salivating over the workbooks that he had and the worksheets, and they weren't pretty. But they were practical. It was teaching people how to make a list, how to delegate, how to follow up, how to, create your list for tomorrow, how to move the needle through a more powerful to-do list. And so that was one of the mentors that definitely planted a seed. Now, throughout my online, business life and that whole entire career of starting Horacio Printing, I've had different mentors. Some of those mentors came in the form of people I hired, younger, incredible designers that taught me how to use Instagram, that taught me how to do design, that taught me about branding. There's been mentors and programs that I've purchased over the years to help me know what I don't know, because there's always something you don't know, and you don't know what you don't know, and you need to find out. And so I've done so many different programs, so many different mentorships, and now I'll go to number 5. Number 4 is get a mentor. Number 5 is get a community. So now I'm in different communities, different masterminds with people in my world, in the planner business, in the online course business, in my space, that are Christian women that are being boundary bosses, like crushing their time, owning their schedule. They have boundaries against social media and the distractions of the world. And having those people in my corner, in my back pocket to talk to process things with. Oh, my husband is thrilled because he cannot process all the issues and things going on in my business like my girls can. And so you need community. You need community in anything you're trying to do. That's why we need the local church. If you're growing spiritually, you need to be plugged in. The enemy wants us to be isolated, because in that isolation, we drown. We become, we're just weak. Our flesh is weak. So we need community. We need to encourage one another and exalt one another and exhort one another and be there. We're meant to be there for each other and not be alone. So no matter what that is, like if you're trying to get healthy, you need to be in a health community. If you're trying to get sober, you need to get in a sober community. If you're trying to do any of those things, we need to get in that community. That's why I love Amanda Neely's program. She really helps people with their financial literacy and growing their wealth to have impact. Well, you can be a part of her community and get those messages, because what you're reading every day, what you're scrolling through every day is changing you. It's affecting you. And so if you're plugged into people who have their eyes on the prize, and it's the same prize that you have, that's a good community to be in. So you need some sort of mentorship and training. That's number 4. But number 5 is you also need a community. And sometimes those mentorship programs come with a community with your peers, and that's amazing. So get in community, get a mentor. Number six lesson I've learned over the last 10 years of running my business is debt is dumb. And there's a lot of people that might disagree with me and think, no, debt is really powerful. Debt is a wealth building tool. Not a fan. I'm not a fan of debt at all. It's not biblical to go into debt. If someone applies to print school and they tell us, I can't afford this, we say, please don't enter. We don't want you to go into debt to join our program, period. Like, you need to focus on other things in your life. You need to take Dave Ramsey's Financial Peace University, which I did. I cut up all my credit cards our second year of marriage, and we focused on getting out of debt. And every year for my business, I had to take out money to buy my planners. And I was in a debt cycle in my business, and it was so stressful, and it was stealing the creativity, and I was still making impact, but I wasn't doing it correctly. And it wasn't until I really connected with the Profit First method by Mike Michalowicz that I was able to get out of debt, to let myself be my own bank as a business. So that way, when I sold my planners or sold my new collection or whatever product, that money that I made, like, woohoo, we just sold it, it wasn't all going to pay off the debt. Because that's no fun. It's no fun to do a big launch and go, well, that all goes to the credit card now. And the credit card's been charging me interest. I think debt is dumb. I'm not even a big fan of credit cards unless you already have the capital sitting in your account and you're just paying it off and collecting points or collecting cash back. Not a fan of it. Not a fan of it at all. I don't recommend getting a business loan. I don't recommend any of that. The only loans that I would still consider are loans through a company like Stripe or through Shopify. Only because instead of giving you, let's say, a business loan might say, or even a mortgage, right? Like, you'll pay it off in 10 years, you'll pay it off in 15 years or whatever it is. And they're going to charge you, let's call it 10% interest or 8% interest or whatever it is. You're actually, if you take out $50K, you're actually going to pay back $75K or $100K, depending on the terms of that contract. It's not 10%. It's not a 10% fee. It's 10% interest over time, compounding interest. So it is, in my opinion, dumb. Debt is dumb. So the only types of loans that I would take out if you really needed it for inventory is a loan through Stripe or through Shopify. And they offer those once you have like a history with them. And they will do a flat fee. So for example, if you take out $100K, they're going to make you pay the $100K back plus $11,000. Now that isn't terrible. 10%'s not that bad, especially if you don't have access to like a family loan or something like that. So those are the only places I would take it. And what's nice is they repay it by siphoning off a percent of all of your future deposits until it's paid off. So you don't have to remember to pay it. They're not gouging you with growing interest rates or some, fixed whatever. It's simple. But all in all, debt is dumb. Becoming your own bank is the way that you can be healthy and make good decisions. And so I love Profit First as a tool to help you put all of your money as a business into cash envelopes, basically. They're like digital cash envelopes. You save money for taxes. You're saving money for future inventory. You're saving money for your own paycheck as a business owner. You're saving money for operating expenses. You're saving money for profit. And out of that profit bucket, you can make impact. So that is number 6. Number 7, a way to stay in business for 10 years is you have to understand that hype and urgency are critical. You never want to just reveal a product and buy now, here it is, here's an afterthought. Just because you've been so inundated with it doesn't mean anyone else knows about it, understands about it, connects with it yet. So driving hype and teasing a product, educating on a product is critical. And it's something that I teach inside of Print School and Launch School in my program. I give away my launch strategies, my Black Friday strategies. And I really stand by having a nice long runway leading into a product launch. So we started teasing our 2025 collection in August, and it didn't launch till September 24th. We revealed it a week ahead, and then we had a whole week to educate before it went live. So that's number 7. You have to understand how to drive urgency around your sales, or else people will take it seriously. So hype and urgency is critical. That's number 7. Number 8 is invest in excellence. People care about the aesthetic of things. And if you want to get away with saying, well, this is a Christian brand, or like, I don't have a lot of money, so it's okay that my photos aren't great, or it's okay my video is kind of subpar, or, my website's kind of janky. Like, it's a Christian company. I don't agree with that. I'm not a fan of that thinking or that model. I think for so long, having a Christian brand gave you a hall pass to be subpar. And I think if you're a Christian brand, you need to be excellent. I think if any brand's going to succeed, they need to be excellent, not perfect. I mean, right, I spelled Horacio wrong. We still have some videos that are kind of janky, or like a photo isn't great or whatever. There's times where like things are not excellent, but we strive for excellence. We want to put our best foot forward. We want to look great. We want to be a industry leader. And I think that we have to invest in excellence. So finding people that fill your gap, right? If you're not a great photographer, hire one. Hire a local photographer, do a photo shoot with them. Find a video person at your church to do your video shoot. Invest in the excellence of your website. Invest in good branding. Invest in people who fill your gaps, right? Or invest in the training to learn how to do it yourself. That's number 8. Invest in excellence. It does pay back. Number 9 and number 10 go together, and they are critical. This is the only way you stay in business, because this is the keys to actually scaling and having profit. Ready? Number 9 is systems. Systems. And number 10 is systems as well. But number 9 is systems to sell. Systems to sell. So you need a proper funnel system to sell your products or services in order to keep selling. Why do you have to make sales? If you can't have sales, you can't hire people. You can't invest in excellence. You can't do this full time as your job. So we have to have systems to sell. And usually that looks like funnels and content out there that is getting you in front of people and bringing them into your funnel. So that could look like a really great freebie. It could look like videos on YouTube explaining your product. There's so many different funnels and systems out there. Usually they're partnered with an email or an SMS service, and you've jumped in people's funnels, and you know what it's like when you jumped in a funnel and it worked, right? Like you signed up for their email list, you went shopping, and you bought something. They followed up, and now you're a loyal customer. So you have to set up those funnels in your business in order to make sales, period. So that's a big system that's important, is your sales system. And that's something I'm constantly refining, constantly testing out new things. Over the last 10 years, our sales systems have changed. But the biggest piece of that sales system is adding value. It's adding value. Like your sales system must add value. It must help solve a problem and attract those right customers. The 10th system that is critical is a system for your company operations. And this is something I really didn't invest in properly. I thought I knew what I was doing, but I really didn't invest in this except for the last 2 years. The last 2 years have been crazy, and we've tripled our revenue in the last 2 years. We've tripled our team in the last 2 years, and I really, really, really give that first to God and second to systems. And I learned it from my systems queen. Her name is Chelsea Jo Moore. She is the host of the Systemize Your Life podcast. She's the creator of the Systemize Your Life course, which that's all about systemizing your life, right? Using your planner. She's also featured in the planner. If you're a Horacio Printing planner buyer, you're probably familiar with Chelsea. So she has a course all about systemizing your life, like your cleaning schedule of your home and your schedule in general and your budget and all of that. But what I have really been honing in with her for the last 2 years has been systemizing my biz. So she has an entry course called Systemize Your Biz, where you get her 4 core workflows, which is like your cockpit and different workflows like that. But what's really exciting is she has 2 other programs that are amazing. And I've done both of them. Systemize to Scale and then Tobos. And Tobos is currently, as I'm recording this, it's in beta, which she is accepting beta clients right now. But basically, it's a program where You completely understand how to hire, how to do SOPs, how to train your team, how to delegate, and how to not just this is my problem. I would delegate to people and then I would just kind of fizzle out. And so I really struggled with being consistent. I was consistent with my to-do list, but I was never consistent with my employees or the people I hired. And so I would just get in my little tunnel vision entrepreneur brain, and the things would slip, balls would drop, and my balls would drop. And it wasn't good. So now I actually have a system where I am delegating things. We're going through projects. We're scheduling content early, way in advance. And I have been able to remove myself from a majority of the work that used to take up all my time. So it's given me time, freedom, time flexibility, along with huge growth in the business. So that's number 10. I've saved number 10 to be last because I do want to invite you to check out her systems. Below, I have links to her courses. I also have links to some coupon codes for each of those programs as well. But if you want to stay in the game, you need systems. You need an operating system. TOBO stands for Total Online Business Operating System. And so it's a place where every single day I know exactly what I have to do. My team knows exactly what they have to do. Everything's documented. And instead, I never write to-do lists down anymore for my business. Like, what? Like, I'm not over here like, oh, all these things I've got to get done. Like, it's all in the operating system. And so it's taken away so much headache, so much stress. And it's why I'm still here, because I might have given up without the right systems and the ability to empower my team to do their job. And so that's the kind of freedom I want for you guys as well, if you're on that journey too. So I have all of Chelsea's info below, because I do think systems is how you scale. And if you're like, I have to scale this in order to start paying myself, well, you need systems to sell and you need systems to operate. And once you make those sales, you'll be able to hire people who can then relieve you of the work that you're doing. So those are my 10 things. I know this was a little bit of a longer episode, but I just have a lot I wanted to share. And I want to wrap up this episode by saying how incredibly grateful I am for every person in the Horacio Printing family, and grateful to God that I'm still on this entrepreneur journey. And I still believe, despite everything going on in the world, despite the news, despite what the world says, I believe that we are still called to dream, to move forward, to take steps forward in what God has for us. And so it's so critical to stay connected to your why. Why did you start this? Why are you in this business? And stay planted and connected to that, because that is a key driver to making it for the long run. So I'm just sending you a big hug. If you have a dream to print your own thing, or you want to start a paper product business like I do have a free workshop for you at HoracioPrinting.com/workshop. It tells you all about Print School, which is my signature program that you get 2 years of access to. And I teach you everything I've learned about starting a printing company and also launching your product. It's really comprehensive and incredible. So you can learn more at HoracioPrinting.com/print school if you want to go ahead and apply. I would love to see your application come through my desk and welcome you into Print School this year. All right, have a wonderful day. Bye, guys.